First here at 11 o'clock, we begin with late-breaking news. A federal judge in California has ruled that the mass firings of federal employees who were in the probationary period were likely unlawful. It's our top story on the WHAS 11 night team. Hello, everybody. I'm Doug Proffitt. U.S. District Judge William Alsup ordering the Office of Personnel Management to admit they don't have the authority to order the firings of any other department. 5 labor unions have sued to block the Trump administration's massive dismantling of the federal workforce. They say numerous agencies informed workers that the Personnel Office had ordered the terminations with an order to use a template email informing the workers that their firing was for performance reasons. Alsup also ordered the head of the Personnel Office to testify in court about the nature of a phone call with agency heads who were told to fire probationary workers. Thousands of employees have already been fired, and the judge's ruling does not mean that they're going to be rehired or that more won't be fired. Meantime, we learned today that the quirky, colorful, and popular head of the National Weather Service office in Louisville is taking President Donald Trump's incentive plan to leave. John Gordon's last day on the job is tomorrow. Today, Gordon told us he took that offer. He said, quote, "The fork in the road gave employees the opportunity to leave the government, and in my case, resign and retire." Donald Trump, on his first week in office, offered to pay federal workers through September 30th if they agreed to make their decision by February 6th. Gordon spent nearly 40 years with the National Weather Service, including 20 as the head meteorologist in charge here in Louisville. He's joining us live in the studio on Monday at 5:30 to talk about his decision and career. Right here new tonight, punishing illegal street racers with car crushing. So far, it's been a hit in Frankfort, racing through the Judiciary Committee yesterday with flying colors. Because of public interest, the option to auction the cars has also been added to the bill, along with a way for it to benefit the community. WHAS 11 night team's Clarice Shaley learned from a Louisville organization how this additional money could help victims of crimes.
All right, and can I get her name?
Louisville Center for Women and Families call center answers people in need.
I know we've helped thousands of people. We've answered thousands of crisis line calls.
Connecting victims of domestic violence and sexual assault to resources.
We'll just make sure she has our number, and then we'll give her a follow-up call as well.
One resource they share is Kentucky's Crime Victims Compensation Fund, which helps pay for damages due to the crime like lost wages, medical bills, and more. It's a program that may get more funding from a bill racing through Frankfort.
Taking over streets, outnumbering law enforcement.
Jefferson County representatives standing up for the street racing bill, extending Louisville's illegal street racing ordinance statewide, and increasing punishments.
Our babies and our loved ones and our citizens are there just to live their daily lives.
On the second offense, the vehicle would go to the state either to be crushed or auctioned, with those funds going to the Crime Victims Compensation Fund, passing through the House Judiciary Committee with some concern from other representatives.
What we have to balance is how do we make sure that the property rights are protected.
But it's a bill moving quickly off the gate. Louisville Metro Police Chief Paul Humphrey, its biggest champion.
It's not just a couple of young kids out here seeing how fast their dad's car can go. This is really dangerous behavior, and it is often associated with guns and stolen cars and things like that are related to other crimes.
Legislation that could bring funding to people in need.
It's so important to empower survivors so that they can have the resources that they need to make their own decisions as they begin this new journey.
Helping more across the state get back on their feet. Clarice Shaley, WHAS 11 night team, on your side.
The Kentucky bill does allow street racing that is sanctioned and hosted in other parts of Kentucky for tourism. Right here, news since 6 o'clock. A sinkhole has now developed along 5th Street in downtown Louisville. This is a new twist to that major gas leak in downtown Louisville Tuesday that evacuated the mayor's office and other buildings. I walked up to 5th and Jefferson tonight and found LG&E crews still working at night. Today, the sinkhole was discovered. It is 15 feet deep and 15 feet wide on 5th. LG&E tells us they believe the sinkhole opened after our recent heavy rains. The LG&E crews were able to pinpoint the gas leak, by the way, in a plastic pipe running down 5th, but they're now working to figure out how to handle the sinkhole. You can see the replacement pipe there at the site tonight. The good news, the gas leak has been repaired and service expected to be restored by everybody by Saturday, but 5th Street between Market and Jefferson is going to remain closed well into next week. Also new tonight in the night team, people in Clark County, Indiana, speaking out for and against a potential $30 million proposal to create a fire territory between the city of Jeffersonville and the Utica Township. It would add a new ambulance service to the area. Focus reporter Travis Breeze covered the meeting tonight and tells us how it's filling the hole left behind by Jamie Knoll.
If this fire territory is approved, it will raise some Utica residents' property taxes 30%. It'll also take away local income sales tax from other cities in Clark County and the school district. But Utica residents say they deserve it for the negligent fire and EMS care they've had for many years.
Utica's already taken a big hit.
Utica residents showing up in force, saying they want Jeffersonville to provide their fire and ambulance service.
And we're the ones that get the brunt of it. Actually,
Yeah,
we have
Jamie
gotten
stole
the brunt.
from Utica.
Jamie Knoll went to prison last October. The former sheriff's actions still causing havoc. For years, Utica Township residents were misled about the level of fire service they were getting from Knoll's entities. Solutions are already in place. JFD has been covering the area on a temporary contract, and Heartland Ambulance is covering the whole county.
They're a for-profit company. They're here because we're paying them to be here. They're not here because they're part of our community.
While Clark County Commissioners President Brian Glover doesn't have a vote on this, he thinks the amount of people getting new fire service is being over-exaggerated. All of this area is already getting Jeffersonville fire service. The fire territory would add these two pockets.
We believe that that service can be provided a lot cheaper than $30 million. Number one. Number two, we question the fact that there needs to be redundant EMS services to the tune of $6 million from what's reported.
If it were Sellersburg, or it were Charlestown, or it were Clarksville, if they needed fire protection, we would tighten our belts and say, here you go.
The Jeffersonville City Council will have the final vote on March 13th. In Jeffersonville, Travis Breeze for the WHAS11 night team on your side.
Well, even if the fire territory was approved on March 13th, it would also have to be approved by the Indiana Department of Local Government Finance. That wouldn't be official until 2026. Right here, also new at 11 in southern Indiana, a former Clark County, Indiana council member will plead guilty to charges related to the Jamie Knoll investigation tomorrow. Knoll fathered a child with the former councilwoman Brittany Faree, and according to previous court documents, she accepted over $114,000 in child support, travel, and other expenses from the Utica Township Volunteer Firefighter Association Fund. Faree is expected to be in court tomorrow at 11 a.m. A team of attorneys for one of the men charged in the disappearance of Crystal Rogers in Bardstown appeared in a Nelson County courtroom again today, asking for another delay in his upcoming trial. Steve Lawson, along with his son Joseph Lawson and Rogers' former boyfriend Brooks Houck, have all been charged in connection to Rogers' disappearance and death. Steve Lawson's trial is supposed to start in Warren County, Bowling Green, in exactly 3 months. However, his attorneys argued that they won't be ready in time. Judge Charles Sims saying that's not an option and offered a unique solution to help bring Steve Lawson up to speed.
I could have him brought up here to the courthouse and we can make things available where he can review whatever he needs to every day between now and the trial date, if that's what it takes. I'm trying to which way I can to get this case to a conclusion because my calendar is brutal for the rest of this year too.
Steve Lawson will be tried independently from the other co-defendants in the Crystal Rogers case because of what the judge calls undue prejudice against Houck and Joseph Lawson if the three were tried together. A Louisville man has pleaded guilty to charges connected to the shooting during New Albany's Harvest Homecoming in October. Joshua Smith faced multiple charges, including murder, attempted murder, and battery. Court documents say Smith was at the shooting and fled the scene in a car that was at the same place where shell casings were found. He confessed to firing a gun in the air while in the ride area of Harvest Homecoming, and near the car, he and 2 others fled the scene in, the affidavit said. 2 bystanders were injured, and 18-year-old Bryce Gerlach, a senior at Corydon Central High School, was killed. Smith is now scheduled to be sentenced on March 28th. 4 others have been charged in the shooting, including Darius Tuff, Shermichael Smith, Isaiah Page, and Demarius Person. Louisville Metro Police Chief Paul Humphrey says they are close to an arrest in the shooting that killed 3 people right outside that Valley Station driver's license office. He broke the news to us on WHAS 11 News at 5:30.
I would say that that we know what one of those individual victims was involved in and why they were part of this shooting. And so I trust that we're going to be making an arrest on this shooting at some point.
Was it targeted gangs?
We believe that one of the individuals, it was directed at one of the individuals.
It happened on Friday, February 21st. 2 women and an 18-year-old young man were shot and killed outside the Driver's License Bureau in Valley Station. The 18-year-old was shot several times, according to the coroner. At the time, there was a line out the door of customers waiting to get service inside the office there. LMPD told us the suspected shooter escaped in a car. Again, the chief telling us today LMPD believes one of the victims was targeted by the shooting. Happening tonight, diversity, equity, and inclusion has been a big topic during this year's Black History Month of February. It was also a question that was asked during a special event tonight at the Louisville Bar Association. They are honoring black men who work within the legal system here. WHAS11 Night Team's Jose Alonso shows us how they hope to inspire the next generation regardless of policy.
The Louisville Bar Association invited attorneys to hear from 3 distinguished Black American panelists where they discussed their upbringing, advice for the next generation, along with diversity, equity, and inclusion. The Vice President and Legal Counsel of GE Appliances, Jason Brown, talking to a packed room alongside Senior Counsel of Sazerac Company, Dwight Haygood Jr., and the Honorable Judge Brian Edwards of Jefferson Circuit Court.
We were able to share some stories about our journey, about things that motivated us at the beginning, obstacles that we have faced.
Black history is represented on the walls of LBA's downtown offices. Pictures representing the first African-American attorneys to earn membership in 1953. That representation still shining bright in this room.
They told me to really keep in perspective who I am and what I wanted to do.
DuPont Manual student Aaron Warner helped the discussion with the panel and asked for perspective, especially as DEI continues to be targeted by the executive branch.
It's not just a policy, it's something that flows throughout everyone's community separately.
The panelists were also asked about the fate of DEI. I asked Judge Edwards if he believes that policy helped him with his career.
Juries did not listen to me and give me any extra credit because of some sort of presumed DEI. So, if it opened doors and gave me opportunities that perhaps historically have been closed for me, I think that is a wonderful thing.
The entire panel says representation matters, and they hope to inspire the next generation of minorities within Kentucky. In Louisville, Jose Alonso, WHAS11 Night Team on your side.
And the Louisville Bar Association also honored attorney Michelle Duncan with the Justice William E. McAnulty Jr. Trailblazer Award for her outstanding leadership. Judge McAnulty from Louisville was the first African-American justice on the Kentucky Supreme Court.